Hey, you guys, how are you doing? It's Jane from Surface Anthology and Chalk Mercantile. Hope that you're all well. I want to show you guys how to gild with a stencil. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I've got my little sample board, my pages of gold and silver leaf. I think I'm going to do it because it's like a honeycomb pattern. So I think I'm going to do it gold because when I think of honeycomb and bees, I think of the color gold. So that's what we're going to be doing today. A little side note before we start, please join the Painted Cottage Facebook group. I keep saying it's a page, it's not. It's the Painted Cottage Facebook group. So you could be a part of our next group workshop, which is coming up on the 29th. So make sure you join, and it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, I'm making sure all my tech is good here. So the things you're going to need, and if you've been following me for any amount of time, you know I absolutely love gold leafing, silver leafing, gilding, anything. That's my thing. I just love it. And I have used Iron Orchid stamps to put the size down. The size is the glue. This is my giant thing of size because I do a lot of leafing. And I want to show you guys how to use the stencil. So you're going to need, obviously, a base. This is just one of my little sample boards that I painted with. This is the Amy Howard at Home one-step paint and Atelier. And no finish on it. So you don't want to do this on top of wax or anything. You need that nice raw paint. It's perfect. My stencil, I've got some tape, and I'm going to use a natural sea sponge to put the size on. And of course you need your size, and I'm going to put some in a bowl here. And you don't need a lot. There's the size. And sometimes you'll see size come in the color red, which is really beautiful under gold. So if you ever get a chance to try it, I encourage it. I think I said tape. I need to tape this on because I just know this is going to move. And it's interesting because not all the sides are even. But it's a sample board, so I don't really care. And there aren't register marks. Register marks are so that if you want to move it, you know, keep building up the stencil, they would have little marks in the stencil so you could match them. There aren't any, but you could make your own if you wanted to, or you could just get a larger stencil that's made for a wall. All right, I'm gonna put it like this. Boy, that's really making me bananas. It goes from wider to narrower there. But I need a couple of edges so I could tape this. We'll just leave it. So I'm gonna take a piece of my frog tape and tape this on. And boy, you could really see this bouncing around. So we're going to be very, very careful and just really, when we're pouncing with the sponge, you know, we're not going to be wiping it. We're going to be just pouncing from the top. All right. Here's my sponge. I'm going to make sure I just washed them, make sure it's nice and dry. I use these for everything. You could find these in the makeup aisle. People use them to put foundation on, and they're really inexpensive, and I just use them for everything. You could get so many great effects with these, and they last forever. If you keep it clean, it will last forever. All right, so here we go. I'm going to put some of that size on the sponge, And I'm gonna offload a little. I'm gonna use my cloth here because we don't want a wet mess. All right, and then we're just gonna start from the top. And I'm just pouncing. I'm not, it's an up and down movement because we don't want to shift our stencil. All right, and I'm going to have to come over here, hold it like this. There we go. And it's actually not moving around, which is really good. All right, make sure you've got it all covered. Get that spot that my finger took. And next we're gonna just lift this out. I'll show you what this looks like. When the size is first put on, it's really milky like that. And now we have to wait for it to come to tack, it's called. And it literally feels tacky. All right, so I'm gonna pull this off. And you should have a nice bowl of water next to you that you could throw this in, which of course I don't. So I'm just gonna put that over there. I'll scrub that with my scrubby soap later. I do have water though to fit my sponge in. When you're using these, just pop it in, and you can also clean these with scrubby soap. All right, so now we just have to wait for it to come to tack. And you see how little we used of the size, so don't pour out a lot. And I'm just gonna go like this. I see a couple of places where it kind of snuck underneath the stencil. I'm still gonna get that look, but when I'm doing a test like this, so say I wanted to use that stencil on a piece of furniture, I will know that I need to put the size on with a really wrung out, almost dry sponge, and not a lot. But I think this will make a nice base nonetheless. Once I do this, I could put like an Iron Orchid transfer over it, or use one of the Iron Orchid stamps. Would look really, really beautiful. And you see as it's starting to dry, you could see the pattern, right? And you see there's a couple of areas like over here where it's gone underneath the stencil. All right, it's almost to tack. Now the way I test it is I literally just take my finger and you'll see it's tacky, but nothing's coming off on my hand. That is perfect. There's still a couple of little areas, but I think for our demo, this looks really good. So then what I do is I grab, I want my gold leaf. And this book is empty. That's how much I go through this. I really, really do. That's silver. Here we go. Oh, actually this is copper. Copper might look really beautiful. Yeah, I don't have my gold, so I think it's going to be copper. And why not? I don't use this as much as I like. Every time I look at it, I go, why don't I use that more? Okay, so you'll notice that leaf comes in a book like this. There's the seam. Here's the tissue between the sheets. So I just kind of open it up, find a sheet. Don't do this in a windy room. Don't put a fan on. And then I just take it like this. I'm holding it steady and I just turn it over and apply. And you see, we're going to need some more. Here's a sheet that's a little ripped. And then I just call this kind of fussy placement. Now, if you were to do a wall or something, you don't want to do this because all these little seams show. And if you've ever seen those beautiful walls or the interior of a piece of furniture that's been leafed and you can see that little pattern, it could be just square next to square, or it could be like subway tile. You want to be really aware of that when you're doing that kind of work. This is not that kind of work. This copper leaf looks beautiful, beautiful on the inside of lampshades. It gives the most gorgeous warm glow. All right, and you know what I forgot? I have to go grab my brush. So there's the leaf, and you shouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now with my hands. The way to kind of burnish it on is to grab a piece of this tissue like this, and then you just make sure it's really making good contact with the size. There's one little spot I see right up here. All right, and let me go grab the brush that I need. All right, here it is. I'm just using a little natural bristle brush to remove the leaf that wasn't stuck down into the size. And all I do is kind of move it around like this, and you'll see our pattern start to appear. Now the other thing about this stencil, it was a very thin stencil. Now my stencil is going to stick to everything. I have to go scrub it. So I just have to be aware of that again when I use this, that it's very thin, and to have a really, really dry sponge when I'm putting down the size. And here you see me kind of putting, look at how beautiful that is. Oh, would that look gorgeous on a piece of furniture? But I take those bristles and I rub them along like this to lift the loose leaf off of there. I think that's where that the size went underneath the stencil. But wow, how gorgeous is that? Really, really beautiful. You could do a panel on a wall, right? Just a section if you put the little molding around and use this inside this section. Oh, it would be really gorgeous. I love leaf. I love it all. And you can get the real deal. You can get real gold and real copper and real sterling. It's expensive. But I think this, and I think it's called Dutch metal, looks really beautiful. And there it is. Really, really nice. And if you wanted to further kind of distress it a little, you could burnish it with very, very fine steel wool. And I just take it and kind of go over. and it just takes off a little bit of that brightness, especially with the gold. But wow, I love it. And I love the copper with the cooler gray. I love the warm and the cool next to each other. So you guys, give this a shot. Let me know if you've tried it. It's very inexpensive. I think a book of leaf, I sell it, I think it's like 12 or it's less than 12, and there's 25 sheets in there. The size is like $4 or $5. You don't need to buy the big mega bottle like me. You just need a little bit, and you need to keep it very tightly closed. It will last forever. And then you can do what you like. You could use stencils. You can use like the Iron Orchid stamps, where you actually use a brayer and you roll on the sides and you place the stamp down. And I've done furniture with that, and it's been really beautiful. So give it a shot. Let me know how it goes. Join the Painted Cottage Facebook group so you can be part of our next workshop. I'm really excited about. And also think about joining the Surface Anthology membership, my decorative painting membership for furniture painters who want to dive deeper into techniques. And just go to surfaceanthology.com and click on membership. All right, you guys, enjoy. Any questions, please ask. Happy painting.